Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Inside Career Technical Education featuring Porter and Chester Institute. And my co host here on this program, as usual, is Jim Beloga, President and CEO of Porter and Chester Institute. And Jim, it's good to be here with you again.
It certainly is, and I always enjoy doing these with you, and hopefully we've got some good information we'll share with our podcast followers.
Absolutely, because on this podcast, we're talking about COVID's not going away anytime soon. And you've got classes that are starting up, July 20th at all of your Connecticut campuses. And I was just in Waterbury the other day, and I got to say that Mindy, who is the program supervisor over there that runs that campus, boy, she is making sure that everybody's safe. I was really impressed with the safety precautions that are going on in Waterbury, and I'm assuming that's going on across the board at all of your campuses, Jim.
Yeah, it is. We've been working with our campus directors of operations and education for a while now. Obviously, the COVID pandemic's been with us since March 15th, if you will. Or thereabouts. And, we've been talking to folks daily in terms of good infection control protocols. And we've been following what the state and the CDC and other health officials have been advocating as good practices. And, and I think that everybody wants everybody to be safe. Mm-hmm. And we want to keep our campus facilities clean and infection-free. And so we're taking those precautions in the campuses, in Connecticut and in Massachusetts, where we have 9 campuses.
Right. When I walked in, there were some cotton masks that were available for people to take. Hand sanitizer was available right there. Everybody signs in, and then the floors are marked, to go in certain directions. And because of the blended learning, and we should talk about that a little bit, you can do so much online, which you've done at Porter and Chester and all of your campuses in Connecticut and Massachusetts. That transition has worked well. But when you're in automotive or when you're in the nursing program, you've got to have that hands-on experience. So it's really a combination of both, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. We right now have moved, all the students to the lecture piece, if you will, is online. We are looking at simulation software in many programs, which we think will also enhance the educational experience and set the students up for their hands-on training piece. And again, students they're back on campus and they're doing their hands-on training. When they're in our industry modeled labs, we're able to control that a little bit better. Obviously, with clinical sites, that's still, I would say, hit or miss. I mean, we have some clinical sites that are accepting our students in the healthcare area, and they've been a bit slow, especially around our practical nursing program, given that that's where the coronavirus has been most prolific, if you will, in terms of the unfortunate, situations of the elderly population being compromised and the virus getting into those facilities. So those facilities have been slow to reopen. But again, we're looking at really taking a different approach, if you will, to the residential program of 6 months ago. In that moving forward, we're explaining to students and their families and other support members of their backing, if you will, that moving forward, the blended program will most likely persist. And again, we're doing it for a variety of reasons. Obviously, it allows students to continue their education. It also helps us with social distancing. And while we want them to be engaged in their education, we also need to figure out how to do it in a way that we minimize, if you will, the social contact they have. And so we believe it's most important for them to come on campus or be in a clinical where they're actually going to work on getting really good at their hands-on skills.
Right. And one of the bright spots, I guess, in all of this is that a lot of the folks that are training at Porter and Chester, their jobs are considered when they graduate essential. You just talked about nursing home industry, you talk about nurses needed, you talk about home care, you talk about all of that. And there is such a huge demand right now for those employees that these folks, when they continue their education, they're pretty much guaranteed that they're going to go to work.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the governor's orders that have come out, during the pandemic, they've cited automotive technicians, they've cited healthcare workers, they've cited information technology workers, they've cited the skilled trades. Again, when you look at the educational programs we offer, they themselves are really core components to everyday life in our country. So we all want, obviously, to have our plumbing work. We all like hot and cold air. We all like the power that comes from our electrical program, and then in our electronics program, we've got all the home automation, building automation, all the the control systems that are now in place, and the whole Internet of Things are starting to expand or continue to expand. And so we have a broad range of programs that really fit that bill. And again, I think students are going into programs that I would say are more on ground, if you will, and are essential to the operation of our economies.
Right, and you're also known for your real hands-on approach to from a student, wondering about the career, meeting with the counselors, help with financial aid and the application process, all the way through the whole process. And I believe that we're all kind of used to this virtual communication now, so that still continues. It doesn't mean that you're not still seeing the students through, point A to point C, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. What we've tried to do is make the enrollment process and the educational funding or financial aid process, education process, and the career services process. We've tried to make that very simple and seamless for the student. And again, the process in and of itself can be a little daunting. I mean, there are steps that you have to take and get through, but we're there with real humans supporting the process. And so, if anybody gets stuck, we generally are a phone call, email, or text away to helping students migrate through that process, whatever the process would be. I mean, I think historically students would come to our schools and take physical tours of the building and the labs and the classrooms, and now that's being done in a virtual environment. And I think for the most part, we've transitioned, I think, fairly well. And I would say that most people's expectations who are pursuing education right now understand that that's really the sort of the standard operation, if you will, or expectation.
We're speaking with Jim Beloga, who's the president and CEO of Porter and Chester Institute. We mentioned that classes start on July 20th. And if you want information or you want to start that application process, you can go to porterchester.edu, and that's really your best source for information. July 20th is right around the corner. A lot of people have been downsized. A lot of people have recently graduated, maybe from high school. You've got military folks that are coming back. You've got adult learners interested in recreating themselves. It's never too late to really figure out that a trade really is valuable, especially in today's world. So it's a great time and a great opportunity to pursue that.
Absolutely. It, I couldn't say it any better, and I think that, for again, students who have recently graduated, who aren't quite sure what they may want to do, it's a great way to, build a skill, and that skill could stay with you for the rest of your life. And, we're big proponents at Porter and Chester Institute of lifelong learning. And so, I think that for anybody looking for an opportunity right now, our programs are relatively short. Generally speaking, during the day, it's about 12 months. In the evening, a little bit longer. And again, we've structured the program in a way that we're trying to increase the flexibility for prospective students who become current students, and that we're using the blended approach so they can do their lecture online, and then we're scheduling time for them to come in and actually do their hands-on training. And
All in a safe environment.
absolutely.
A quick story. So during high school back in Colorado, I went to cosmetology school because my mom owned beauty shops. And I got my manicurist license. And I got to tell you, it got me through college. I worked at the shop. I made a ton of money. And, I was painting my neighbor girl's nails the other night. I'm like, see, this is a skill that still comes in handy. So you can always have something to fall back on. And I loved it. It was just fun. People call me beauty school dropout. Well, this was a great conversation. And if you want information or you want to start that application process, you can go to porterchester.edu.